Welcome back to the Escape Podcast. On today's episode, we will be talking about Super 8. So, Dave, you have never seen this movie. Is that correct?
All right. Correct.
So, before we have you watch it, let me ask you a few questions about what you know or what you think you know about this film. So, tell me about it. Tell me what you know.
I know nothing about it. I mean, I know some, like, as far as plot, I know nothing. I don't even know off.
What do you think you know? What have you maybe thought you heard about it?
Well, I've heard that it's got a nostalgic vibe to it. It's got it's a modern day movie that's supposed to kind of feel like a movie from the 80s or late 70s, even maybe. It's got. I mean, I know Super 8 itself is a type of film, and so I just don't know very much at all about it. And offhand, I don't even remember who the cast is.
Okay.
So,
do you remember when this film came out? Do you remember hearing about it?
Didn't it come out like 15 years ago, something like that?
2011.
Okay, so okay.
Very, very good math on your part.
Yeah,
I'm impressed. But do you remember? Do you remember at the time, like, hearing people talk about it or seeing trailers for or any kind of buzz about it?
I think I remember seeing a trailer, but I don't remember the trailer. I don't remember hearing. I mean, I didn't really see any thing online as far as reviews or anything. I know nothing essentially.
So clearly, though, whatever you saw or heard back in the day did not draw your interest for it. So
correct.
Obviously, yeah. It didn't grab you. Where I remember when I saw the trailer, I was instantly hooked and very looking forward to it, very interested and excited to see this movie and what it was all about.
It seemed, from what I can remember, it seemed like it was a type of movie that was geared towards a very specific audience, and I don't know if I was actually in that audience at the time.
What do you mean by that?
But now I think maybe I would be more open to it. Just I don't know. I didn't grow up watching some of those. I never saw Goonies more than once. I think I saw it as a kid, and I know this movie is, from what I know, it's supposed to feel like a Goonies type thing.
Okay.
And I don't even remember anything about the Goonies. There's some other movies that came out that are similar to that type of vibe that I may have watched once or twice growing up that never really grabbed me. And it definitely felt like a modern day version of that. And it didn't grab me then either. But again, that was almost 15 years ago. So maybe I kind of suspect maybe I might enjoy it more now than I would have back then.
So you say because you never really liked the Goonies and you think that this has a Goonies vibe to it, that kind of turned you away?
Well, there's a handful of movies that come to mind when I think of the vibe that I got from the trailer, even though I don't actually remember the trailer.
Okay.
The vibe I got was Goonies or what's that monster movie with the monsters under the kid's bed? The kid from Wonder Years.
I think it's called Little Monsters.
Is it Little Monsters? Okay.
I think Howie Mandel's the monster.
I think there's another movie. Yeah, there's another movie that came out around that same time about a kid who goes up into space.
Explorers?
Maybe it was Explorers.
Flight of the Navigator?
Flight of the Navigator. That's what I'm thinking
of.
What else is there? There's another movie. The Gremlins. I remember watching the first one. Didn't really like it as a kid. Batteries Not Included. I remember watching that movie. I remember kind of liking that movie a little bit, but not that much. So yeah.
Well, I told you to, let's do this movie. Don't read anything. Don't watch anything. Don't ask anyone. Let's try to have you go in as blind as possible.
Right.
So now let's go watch it, and we'll come back and see what Dave thinks.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Let's get to it.
We'll be back.
I've got nothing against your friends. I like your friends. Well, things have obviously changed for us.
I have to help Charles finish his movie.
Be good for you to spend some time with kids who don't run around with cameras and monster makeup.
Could you close your eyes, please? Yeah.
And action! An eastbound freighter derailed. What the cargo was on that freighter, we don't know.
I can't tell anyone. I know.
I understand you have concerns about our cargo.
Colonel, there isn't anything else that I should know, is there?
I can assure you the answer is no.
We've gotten calls from people who found local dogs, but the calls coming in aren't local.
Lucy!
It's like they all just ran away.
I've got property damage. I've got theft. I've got 9 people missing now. There are things happening around here that I can't explain.
We have to find this thing. I don't feel good about this.
Go! I saw it. No one believes me.
I believe you.
Super 8 was released June 10th, 2011, and was directed by J.J. Abrams. It was made on a budget of $50 million and made a box office of $260 million. On Rotten Tomatoes, it got a score of 81% by critics and 75% by the audiences. It stars Joel Courtney as Joe, Riley Griffiths as Charles, Elle Fanning as Alice, and Kyle Chandler as Deputy Jackson. So Abrams has stated that this was originally 2 separate ideals he had, one about kids making a movie in the 1970s and another about an alien invasion. It was suggested to him to combine these 2 into one film. There was early speculation that this film was going to be connected to the 2008 Cloverfield, since JJ served as producer. 5,000 kids auditioned for the main roles. This was Joe Courtney and Riley Griffin's first film. Although the film is set in the fictional town of Lillian, Ohio, the film was shot in Weirton, West Virginia, because they liked the look of the town. Spielberg, who served as producer, visited the set often and stated that it was one of the most fun experiences he had on set. In the original draft, the alien is never seen. JJ was against adding the 4 months later caption, but Spielberg persuaded him it needed to be added. As of 2026, this is the only film Abrams has directed that is not based on a previous franchise. The Rubik's Cube was invented in 1974. It wasn't available to the general public in the UK until 1978, and in the US until 1980. Likewise, the Walkman went on the market in Japan in 1979, but wouldn't become available in America until 1980. The Super 8 footage seen in the film was actually shot on 16mm in order for the effects team to have something they can more easily work with. The town water tower was completely CGI. And the alien, who was dubbed Cooper by the cast and crew, was played via motion capture by Bruce Greenwood.
Wow. That was quite a movie.
All right, well, don't give it all away to me just yet. We'll save that for the end.
Okay.
So,
okay. Well,
is there anything you want to say up front? Okay, excellent.
I've got lots to say. I mean, I don't know, where do you want me to begin with what I have to say?
Well, I would like to begin with the score.
Okay,
right at the very beginning.
I was going to tell you my very first note that I have is immediately the very first thing I have noted is on the music.
Yeah, me too. But tell me what you think about that.
Well, immediately I was impressed by the music during the opening title sequence. I don't know who did the music, but
I'm going to try to say his name.
Really
Michael Giacchino.
Oh, I've seen his name pop up on movies before. I know who you're talking about. It starts with a G, and it looks like someone just punched a keyboard. It's crazy.
Yeah, I believe it's pronounced Giacchino.
I don't know.
Chicano. Maybe I don't know.
Chicano. I don't know. It's just hit a bunch of keys. You'll get something close.
It's cool because while the logos are going, it goes from this kind of mysterious, almost scary sense. Yeah. And then immediately into this kind of a feeling of wonderment and mystery and I don't know. It's very interesting.
Yeah. It was that was what immediately grabbed me was, oh my gosh, if this music is any indication, then this movie's gonna be great. So
yeah.
we move right into the like the opening scene at the is it like a factory or something, or
I believe so. It looks like it.
Some kind.
Yeah. So this is actually one of the supposedly one of the first ideas that JJ said he had. This ideal of a factory floor, the how many days, safe days worked being erased and going back down to 0 or 1, actually, I guess. And he also had an ideal for an alien invasion movie that he then decided, or someone maybe suggested to him, to combine these two stories together.
Okay.
So
I see. Yeah, and it's funny. I was just looking at the info on the guy who did the music, Michael Giacchino, or it looks like
sure.
Giacchino. I mean,
Okay.
I'm looking at it. He did lots of stuff with J.J. Abrams. I believe he even did the he did the Batman, the newest Batman movie. I'm just looking at all the stuff he did. He did Star Trek Into Darkness with I believe that was J.J. Abrams. And Star Trek, the 2009 reboot, obviously. Wow. Well, there's a Star Trek connection right there.
If you call that Star Trek, I mean,
I know. I mean, it's
now we do try to find a Star Trek connection as much as we can on every episode, or at least I always did.
Star Trek Beyond. He also did the third JJ verse movie, Star Trek Beyond.
I didn't catch it myself, but I was reading that if you look at Joe's bedroom, there's an original series Star Trek poster on the wall.
What?
I did not see it myself, but
I did
supposedly
not
it's
see
there.
That. Interesting. I didn't.
So this movie, it's a lot of people have said that it's kind of like they took a lot of other movies or themes of other movies or whatever and put them in a blender. And so pointing out the obvious, you have E.T. obviously.
In the beginning, when we were talking about before we watched it, I never mentioned E.T., but I was gonna bring that up because that's one of them.
So E.T., Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Jaws, and a little bit of The Goonies. However, I would go a little further and say I see a King Kong influence, whether they meant that or not. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And we'll go over that a little bit later on what I'm talking to about that. Now, obviously, The Goonies is kind of very obvious. You have a group of kids.
Yeah.
One even has the yellow raincoat. I'm thinking that was on purpose because Mikey wears the yellow raincoat in the beginning of The Goonies. I can't be sure of that. E.T. obviously just.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on the raincoat thing.
E.T.'s pretty, I think, obvious. Close Encounters, but Jaws, I was thinking like the idea that in Jaws, you hear about the shark that's in the water, you see evidence of stuff, moving around as he moves through the water, but you don't really see him until the end. Yeah, and it's kind of the same thing there. But let's talk about the kids. So there is. You can qualify this as a science fiction movie, but there is obviously a very, where a lot of modern movies are very fast to get into action and a lot of stuff. This, I feel like they did a pretty good job. It's kind of a slow burn. It's
they
a long
time.
Yeah,
they take their time getting into it.
Yeah, there's kind of like I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be way off. I feel like this movie has kind of like the A story, the B story, the C story, maybe even a D story going on where you don't even get that a lot with movies anymore. But like I would say the A story is like Joe and his dad dealing with their recent loss and how to reconnect as father and son. Although I was getting the impression that he was probably closer to his mom than he is to his dad. I was just about to say, they kind of insinuate at the beginning of the film that really he and the father were never all that close. It was really the mom that was kind of the glue that held them together. The B story, I would say, is something strange is happening ever since the train crash. The C story is Joe and Charles and their friends trying to make their zombie movie for the film festival.
Right.
And then I guess you could say the D story would be maybe Joe and Alice liking each other, yet their fathers hating each other. So there's a lot of like little things going on. Maybe I'm reading too much into that.
No,
but,
I agree with you. Those things feel very intentional.
Yeah. Now the kids, they did this thing with the kids where if you listen, like they're always talking over one another, and it's both, it kind of feels realistic because the kids are kind of like that, but it also kind of seems a little forced. Like sometimes I think it works really well, and sometimes it just sounds, I don't know, like the way like they're trying to talk about like, okay, I wrote a new line for my movie, and then you have I think his name's Carrie, the one that's all about the fireworks. He's talking about, did you see that James barfed all over his locker? Like I don't know, just like kind of like it again. It's kind of realistic. Like kids are just always talking and interrupting, and I don't know. But sometimes it just feels a little too forced. But
right. So I was gonna say something about that in particular.
Say it.
So I noticed the very same thing upon my recent viewing of The Goonies, because just a couple weeks ago I watched The Goonies for the first time in like decades. Basically, It felt like watching it for the first time. So not to go off on a tangent on a completely separate movie, but me and my whole family sat down and watched The Goonies together. And I was like, I haven't seen this in decades. I don't know how I'm going to feel about it.
Because you didn't grow up with The Goonies, right?
Right. I watched it once as a kid and it just didn't grab me. I didn't like it. I watched it again just a couple weeks ago and I still didn't like it. But I will say, I noticed so much kids in that movie talking over other kids, simultaneous dialogue going on. Like I remember sitting in The Goonies a couple weeks ago, straining to understand what was being said. Like I kept thinking just during the movie, I was like, man, why are they talking so much over each other? And I saw this happening in Super 8 and I was like, oh, okay, they're going to try to do this again with try to like emulate The Goonies by doing like the similar kind of thing with the dialogue.
I mean, but you have two sons. I have a son.
Yes.
Kids are just like that. When they're excited about something or something's amazing to them, they talk over each other. They interrupt. So it is realistic, but sometimes it did seem a little like, I don't know, like trying too hard to be funny. Like in some instances, it's like it works sometimes, and sometimes it was just kind of eh.
I agree with what you said when you said it feels forced in some areas. Like I totally agree with that. It did. By the way, I was going to say too, with The Goonies, it did not feel forced, even though I still didn't like it and still struggled to understand the dialogue in a lot of scenes. It didn't feel forced. It felt like natural. I think they were trying to do that with Super 8 and it felt forced.
Just too hard, maybe.
Yeah.
So real quick, I love The Goonies. I grew up on it. I watched it constantly.
Yes.
But that's either here or there. Just gotta defend The Goonies there. So in some ways, so you have our main characters are Joe, obviously, and I would say Charles, and then eventually Alice. At least other kids. And again, kind of like The Goonies, you have where there's something going on with the kids and what they're doing, and then maybe not as much with The Goonies, but you see that Mikey's dad is trying to figure out how to save the town in the Goonies. So like there's their kind of story, and there's in each story going on at the same time. Now for obviously the adults, it would be I think his name it's Deputy Jack, Jack Lamb, played by Kyle Chandler, and then of course Alice's dad, I think his name was Lewis. And obviously Lewis, I don't even feel gets maybe as much screen time until like he has his moments, but like obviously Joe's dad is much more prevalent. And I thought it was funny because in our Jumanji review, we talked about how there was that strained relationship between the father and son. And you see, even in this very movie, we have where his dad is trying to send him off to like a boys' summer school or whatever that is, or like almost like youth military school. I don't know what that even was, but basically it's like he doesn't know how to be a dad. I think, like you said, if you listen at the very beginning, Joe's friend, let's see, that would be Charles' parents, are talking about how, what are they going to do without her? And, he's never been much of a father, something like that, she says. And you see that once again, his solution is basically to send him off to get away from, like he doesn't know how to talk to him.
Right.
And he feels the best thing to do would just be put space between them so they both kind of like heal. So Charles is writing this movie. He wants to enter into a film festival, and their little friends are all about it. Now, we don't get as much with the other friends. It's kind of like more where the Goonies did have, like, maybe not as much, but like every kid, you knew a little bit about him. Even, the girls, the slightly older kids, and Brad, you know what they're kind of about and whatever. But in this one, I kind of feel like, okay, you got Carrie. All he's into is like blowing stuff up and lighting stuff on fire. And he doesn't really have, we don't know anything about him other than that.
Okay.
Then there's the other two kids. I can't remember what their names were, but they both were kind of like the scaredy cat kids. So the taller one, he's the one that's going to be the lead in Charles' movie.
Mm-hmm.
And his whole thing is just about, you add a new line, and like he's worried about memorizing his lines. Yeah. And then the other kid is like, he's just kind of a scaredy cat, but in a way, both those kids are kind of just scaredy cats.
Like the blonde one?
Blonde one's Carrie, the one that wants to light stuff on fire all the time.
Okay, yeah.
There's the taller one that wears glasses. That's the lead in the movie.
Yeah, and he's got the hat on. Yeah,
right. And then there's the other one that you see even less than any of the rest of them, and he's just like seems like easily frightened. In fact, when they're later all in the thick of it, he's the only one that's not a part of them. Like that's I think the only time he's with them is that. Even when they go to break into the school, he's not there, I don't think.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say at the outset of this, before we really get into deep to this, I have a very hard time with remembering these characters' names. So I'm just gonna be saying a lot of things like that one kid, or this kid, or the blonde kid, or the one character here. I'm not gonna remember these characters.
Yeah, that's
names.
fine. I mean, the main kid is Joe.
Yeah, I remember.
Charles is the one that wants to is shooting the movie. He's the director of the movie. And then Alice, those are the main kids we need to know anything about.
Right.
But so Charles, he's all about his movies. He's reading magazines about movie making, and he's always about trying to make a better story and production value, and blah 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 blah. And in a way, that kind of reminds me of me and you, and even maybe more me, where he's like using terminology that maybe he doesn't fully even understand exactly what it means, but he knows this is what the pros call this, and this is what real movie makers call that. So this is what I'm going to say. Or like when he says try to reassure her. Do you know what that means, right? And you almost think, does he even know what it means? But stuff that he's probably read in these magazines, that like this is what real filmmakers have to do. And it kind of reminds me of things where when I was a kid, where I would be into, and I might read magazines about this and that, the other, and like some things I kind of understood and some things I didn't, but I would try to use the right terminology and the right words to make me feel like I knew what I was talking about,
right?
Even though I really didn't. Like the way he would do his hands, where he would make the little box. And, I've seen enough, behind the scenes stuff. You see directors do that as they're trying to like picture what it's going to look like. And I almost wonder, it just kind of reminds me of the type of thing where he probably saw some magazine where he saw a director on set doing that. And he just thinks, okay, this is just what you do. He doesn't even know maybe why he's doing it.
It helps you frame it up. And
well, no, I get it. But I'm saying from the point of view of the story, where I almost wonder if he understands, like he's just a kid, like, does he understand why he's doing this? Or is he just like
way to look at it?
Yeah. Is he just copying things that he's seen and heard just because, okay, this feels like what a real filmmaker says. This is what a real filmmaker does. So there's a lot of themes in this movie, themes of loss, guilt, regret, hatred, forgiveness, friendship.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things like that to go over. So obviously the biggest one right up front is Joe and his dad are feeling the loss of the wife and mother,
right?
But they're having to deal with it separately because they don't really have a relationship.
Yeah.
I didn't even catch it until like kind of almost last minute. Like, yeah, like they probably never did. Because at first I thought maybe it was like the strain of this loss has put a rift between them. But now I'm kind of thinking it was more like they never had it to begin with. You know, they were she was the white part of the Oreo holding them together. You know, it's like they're strangers almost. You know, then Lewis has regret. We find out that he overslept, or he either drank too much and overslept, or he just overslept or whatever. So he was going to be late for his shift. So they called her, or maybe she volunteered or whatever, to fill in. And that's when the accident happened. Technically, it is not Lewis's fault. It's because at first I thought it was going to be like this type of thing where he went to work drunk, and because of that, he messed something up that caused something they said it was a steel beam that came down and got her.
Right.
But it's not even that. It's just he just overslept or whatever, missed, and she filled in. But he holds the guilt of that. And you know, he tries to go to the viewing or whatever to pay his respects, to apologize to Jack, but Jack won't have it and holds him responsible. He has, you know, this hatred toward him for what he feels he did.
Right.
It's like, in a small way you could say, if he would have been there, she wouldn't have been there, and then that wouldn't have happened to her. But I mean, that's a dangerous game of trying to say, you know, well, if you wouldn't have said this, I wouldn't have done that, then, you know, I wouldn't have gone there and this wouldn't have happened, you know. But that's how Jack feels like he's got to blame somebody. So Lewis gets the blame. Now, when Charles tells Joe that Alice is going to be the wife, Joe's thrilled about this because clearly he likes Alice. And she seems like that, the girl that he's kind of like, he's afraid to talk to, but he wants to. And at first I thought, it's kind of surprising that her dad, being in a way responsible for what happened to his mother, that he would be so keen on like talking to her. And then it kind of hit me. I wonder, does he not realize? Because later she tells him, I think it's when there's a blackout, she comes to his room and they're in there. And when the power comes back on, the projector comes back on, and it's like a home movie of his mother. And
right, yeah.
That's when she says to him, like, you know, she wasn't, you know, she was helping him out by filling in for him. He feels responsible. He wishes it was him instead of her, and so do I.
Yeah.
So
you start to connect these dots a little bit better.
Right. So I'm thinking that maybe Joe didn't realize that her dad was even in that way kind of connected to what happened to his mother, perhaps.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just something I was kind of thinking. It's, I guess, neither here or there.
Yeah, they don't really clearly say about that in the plot.
Yeah, because it never comes up between them before that point. So I'm almost thinking that maybe he didn't know.
Yeah, because I was watching that and I thought, well, if it seems like something like that could have been cleared up if there was like something that he assumed was true was not actually true.
Well, I would just have thought if he would have felt that way, hey, your dad's responsible for what happened. Like, I almost feel like maybe he wouldn't have been as infatuated with her because he kind of, in a way, saw her as too close to the problem. I don't know. But anyway, so they have new lines. They get out of school. Or it's 4 months later, they get out of school and they're ready to really buckle down on their movie.
I want to jump back real quick because after the opening scene in the plant, they jump right to the funeral scene, and after the funeral scene, bam, first thing you hear is "Don't Bring Me Down" by ELO, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever because I love ELO. Yeah, I'm a big fan. I saw them live in 2019, right before COVID hit. It was a cool concert. They're an awesome band. Anyway, yeah, it was cool to hear them.
Yeah, I like Electric Light Orchestra.
By the way, and also, I really liked the soundtrack in general through the whole movie. There was a lot of great songs in addition to the great score.
Yeah. Is the Knack in there? My Sharona.
What?
And the Knack. My Sharona. That's the name of the band. That I'm pretty sure that's the Knack.
Are you sure that's not Queen?
My Sharona?
Yeah,
no, I'm pretty sure that's the Knack. I mean, and then
oh, it is the Knack. Wait, then what did Queen? Why am I?
I don't think there was any Queen songs in there.
No, but I thought Queen did.
And
that
then
song.
what was the other one? Isn't the Cars by Love?
I don't know about that. I don't remember now. I don't remember every song in the movie, but I do remember feeling like, man, this song is cool. And then like a few minutes later, another song would start. Like, wow, this song is cool too. It was just a lot of great song selections in the movie.
So Charles is working, tirelessly on this movie he wants to do. He has a timeline because there's a film festival, and he's also worried because there's going to be older kids there, 15 and 16-year-olds entering in this festival. So he's got to, compete with the big dogs, So he decides to bring in Alice as the wife to, I forget what the inspector's name is supposed to be in the movie of theirs.
Oh, I don't remember I'm struggling just to remember their characters' names. I don't remember their characters' names.
So, they go to the train depot, and, he's ecstatic when a real train is going to pull through the station, which is going to add production value.
Yes, exactly.
Got to have that production value.
They get all sorts of excited about that.
Right. So as they're, getting, they do a quick practice before the train gets there, and here comes the train. Everyone hurry in their places, the batteries, film, load, everything. Everything's going good. They get their scene film, but then Joe happens to look back and sees a pickup truck deliberately drive onto the track, causing a train derailment.
Yeah.
Now, this is one of the things, like, I get it, but like the train crash was a little too extreme. Like, it was just,
oh my gosh, I was hoping
it's like,
to bring that up.
We went into a Star Wars film, and it's just like there's train cars like flying through the air. And
listen, I have seen like videos online of actual train derailments of like hitting something on the tracks at a crossing that shouldn't be there or whatever. This never happens. It could never happen.
I think
like at most, like the first 2 or 3 cars, maybe 4 train cars will come off the track, but eventually the whole thing slows down and comes to a stop.
Well, I was going to say too, I don't think a pickup truck could be powerful enough to cause a derailment.
No,
I think it would slice through that pickup truck, but
the truck would
just plow through it.
It would just plow through it and push the truck down.
I've seen Back to the Future 3. I know how it works.
That's a good, nice reference there. No, but the obviously it really, as a first time viewer of this movie, it took me out of the movie big time.
Well, that was built Ford tough. They don't make them like they used to.
I've seen. I mean, honestly, I don't know. Nothing in real life would ever come anywhere near what we saw in this movie. So it was. I mean,
again, I understand they had to have a reason for this train crash. So it was just too big. Like I think they should have done it, but like not quite. Like, I mean, the way train cars are flying everywhere.
That aftermath kind of looked like what you would expect to see if that train got hit by like multiple incoming missiles from somewhere.
Yeah, it looks like 2 trains hit each other is what it looks like.
Yeah, and then both trains were carrying bombs.
Okay, regardless. So we have this train crash. The camera, the Super 8mm camera, gets knocked over and continues filming in the right direction. And miraculously, Alice's dad's car never gets touched by all the debris.
Oh, and also miraculously, the driver of the truck is fine.
He just rode that line perfectly. Now, that actor, he's from Gremlins. He was the scientist from Gremlins. I forget his actual name. I just saw him because I rewatched it.
But he was a science teacher.
He was a science teacher in
the
Gremlins.
Movie, in Super 8.
Yeah, and in this one, he was also a science teacher. But we find out he was a former government scientist or whatever. And he was in Fargo season 4, I think that was, or no, 3, whatever. I don't know, whatever season I watched. The one where it's set in the 1950s.
Okay.
He was in it. So anyway, they find him. They discover it's their teacher. And he tells them, like, you need to get out of here. Don't tell anyone. They will kill you and your family. And they leave, but not before finding these little white cubes all over the place.
Yeah.
Which
weird looking.
Yeah, which Joe takes one with him.
Right.
So they recover their camera and they get in the car. They go home. Everyone's freaked out. They promise that they're not going to talk to anyone about what happened, which pretty much they don't. I don't think they ever tell anyone in the film that they were there for the train derailment. You know, the next day it's big news about what's going on there. And that's when also strange things starts happening around the town. Certain people are abducted. Car engines, washers, dryers, microwaves are taken. All the dogs in the town have run away. And, you know, people are coming up with these crazy notions of what happened. You know, one guy, in fact, it's the guy who does the voice for Homer Simpson. He's the one saying, I bet you this is, you know, Frankie from whatever auto parts who, you know, or whatever, who's trying to, you know, mess up my business. And one woman blames that her store, she clearly has an appliance store, like her microwaves and her everything were taken.
Yeah.
And she said,
I didn't pick up on the Homer Simpson thing.
It's the actor. It's the voice actor who does Homer Simpson.
Huh.
Dan something. I can't remember how to pronounce his last name, but
interesting.
They all start blaming, you know, she blames the Russians, which I don't know if that's a reference to a movie that came out in the 80s called Red Dawn, but it's where the Russians take over a small town in, Colorado, I think.
Okay.
But I don't know, or whatever, or if it's just the whole Cold War thing that was going on at the time. So anyway, yeah, so all these crazy things are going on, and Deputy Jack is telling the sheriff, like, you know, there's this weird stuff going on. You need to look into this. By this point, the military has come in about the train derailment because we found out it was a military train,
right,
carrying stuff from one base to another. Colonel Nellick.
Oh,
Colonel Nellick, he's in charge of like the overseeing the, you know, the cleanup effort of the train and everything. And we see that they're taking molds of tire tracks. They're collecting all of the cubes, you know, just cleaning up everything. And the main sheriff of the town, he isn't making as much of it that that Deputy Jack is making of it. In fact, he's telling him, you need to go home and just relax, you know, take some time off.
I mean, you immediately get the sense that he's just trying to throw him off. Like,
well, I don't think he thought that. I don't think he was in on it. I think he just didn't think it was anything unusual. Like, okay, there was a train derailment. It's a military train. The military's here to take care of it. That makes sense to me. You know,
Okay.
So one night when he's at the gas station, he is taken by something along with the gas station attendant. And then, you know, we see other things start happening where there's like a guy working on the power lines. He sees some stuff happening over the tree line. He is on like a cherry picker. He raises it up to the height to see what's over there. And then you see that type of thing where something's coming at him, but you see it from like that point of view and he looks terrified. And I like how, again, like kind of like Jaws, they're showing something happening, but we're not seeing what it is. We're seeing people be afraid. We're seeing the look of horror in their eyes, you know, fear in their eyes, but we don't know what it is. Obviously, when I saw this trailer for this movie, I was convinced it was some kind of alien. It seems pretty obvious to me. It was some kind of, you know, alien type movie. But I like that even the trailer doesn't give anything away, really. Exactly. I mean, you're pretty sure. I would have been bummed if I would have got to the end of this movie and found out it wasn't an alien, kind of like The Village. You know, I would have been really upset. But
it's a nice reference right there.
Yeah. I've been talking a lot. Why don't you say something?
Okay, so yeah, the aliens show up, or you think it's an alien. It's some kind of creature but we like never get a good look at it. And at first I guess I get it, but I don't know. I guess maybe as a viewer, I just want to get like a better idea of what's happening. And when you don't get a good look at, like, it only shows up when the light is dark, or like
I don't know. I like that.
I don't know what are we looking at?
Well, yeah, but I mean, they show us in the end what it is. To me, I like that it was not Transformers. It was not new Star Wars, or heck, even new Star Trek, where it's just
right
explosions, actions, lasers, stuff being thrown around. It wasn't MCU stuff.
It's a good reference.
It was kind of a throwback to the time that it was set in, which was they don't say what year it was, but later we find out it's 1979.
Yeah
is when this film
was in Ohio place. Correct?
Yes, which is one of my problems with the movie. It should have been set in Michigan, but I'll forgive them. But anyway, every movie should be set in Michigan and filmed in Michigan. That's what I say.
Yeah,
just teasing. No, I don't really care. That's filmed in Ohio.
Honestly, you get the sense though that they're like, after the train derailment and like the military shows up, you get the sense, for me as a first-time viewer, I got the sense that there's way more going on here than we are being informed of.
Right. So the army has captured the teacher. We hear early on the kids talk about the teacher, how he has this
I just want to say too, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Actually, sorry.
Good.
Well, I was just gonna say, I just think it's odd that the creature shows up, or the train derailment happens, and the kids just kind of go on like they're just continuing to make their movie, like nothing big happened just now, nothing weird happened. They're just like, okay, let's just try to keep making our movie.
But you got to remember, only Joe saw that it looked like something was inside one of the train cars, like beating on the doors to get out. None of the other kids saw that. So from their point of view, it was a train accident that was, although caused by their science teacher or whatever he was, which, yeah, I mean, that was crazy, and they were afraid at what happened. But yeah, then it was like, well, we can use this to help make our movie better. Yeah. Although there is a point in time where they're still kind of just marveling, like, wow, I can't believe we were down. Like when they're up on the hill and they're shooting their film with the train, all the mess behind them, they're kind of marveling at, like, we were down there, we were there when this happened. That's nuts. So the relationship between Joe and his dad is getting worse because he's trying to send him away. And Joe says, hey, I made a promise to Charles that I'd help him finish this movie. All along, we see that Joe keeps on carrying a locket. And we see that his dad looks at this locket, and he, like almost like he had something he was going to say, but he decides not to say it. So you're kind of understanding that it was his mother's locket that he now carries around with him. And he often opens it, but we don't see what's in the locket. Usually, obviously, it's always a picture, but they don't show us what's inside that for the whole movie until the very end. They send their film off only later to get it back and say, oh, this is garbage, we can't use any of this. And that's when they catch a glimpse of something coming out of the train car, which they're showing something little by little. Like, for instance, at the gas station scene, when all the gasoline spills on the ground, it creates a puddle, and they show a point of view shot where you see a reflection upward of something above.
Well, yeah, the gas station scene, that was when we knew that there's some sort of creature involved in all this.
I guess that's the first, clear. Although something had to be stealing those car engines and microwaves and everything else.
Yeah.
Which that kind of reminds me of E.T., the way in E.T. he takes a bunch of stuff from around the house, and he basically makes this phone, right, to call his people.
Yeah.
So whatever this thing is, it's making something for whatever.
Right. Well, I was trying to figure out, like, if this creature is trying to find sources of energy for consumption, like at the gas station, or Every time it's around the light, because every time it's around the lights flicker as if it's drawing energy from all sources of energy around it. And the one woman mentioned all her microwaves. Again, like I'm thinking her microwaves are like energy sources.
Well, do you remember when they went underground? You see all the stuff that's been stolen from around town has been made into something, right?
Right.
Okay. What was it? What do you think it was?
No idea.
Okay. Do you remember the scene where right after they had lost power in the town, Alice is in his room and the power comes back on, the projector starts playing. They have their moment where she shares that her dad is very regretful and wish it was him instead of her, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And then that cube just catapults through the wall.
Yeah, it leaves a hole in the wall.
It leaves a hole in the wall. And then later they show a part, I think it was after they picked up the film, they pan up to the water tower.
The water tower?
Yeah. And we see that cube, Joe's cube, is now like bouncing on the surface of the water tower, right?
As if it's trying to get in the water tower.
Well, all the stuff he stole, he was making an electromagnet, and he was using the water tower. And in the end of the movie, that's exactly what happens. When they get in there, I remember all the cubes eventually, like you see like bicycles and mailboxes and all this stuff floating around, and it's going to the water tower. Remember that?
Yeah.
But eventually there's a part where one of the containers that holds all the cubes breaks open, and all the cubes start flying toward the water tower as well. And that's when and you see it's like they talked about how when they were watching the film that was in the dungeon, as they called it, that's where he was hiding like all his films and audio cassettes concerning his time in the military. They say that the cubes were like had a shape-shifting ability. And when Alice says, "What's he doing?" he says, "Making a model," which I thought was a nice little kind of connective thing, because Joe made models. He made a lot of models of trains, but we saw he was making, I think, models of like Frankenstein and different like classic monsters too. Right. So I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, I think that's what he was doing. He was stealing stuff to use the water tower as an electromagnet to get all his pieces together, so then that he could rebuild his ship, which is, I mean, that's exactly what he did. And I think that's also why he didn't leave the town, because you could almost argue like, well, if he knows the military, you know, these humans are hunting him, the people that had him captive, why wouldn't he leave town? Well, I think because his cubes were there. He knew that the pieces to make his ship were in this general area, so I need to stay here.
Well, so it's around this time, I think it was shortly after the water tower scene, that that Alice is taken by the creature.
Right. So yeah, we've seen a few people taken. That's another thing that the townspeople, along with reporting all the things that are stolen, certain people have gone missing.
Right.
We've heard about a woman in rollers taken. The kid from the gas station, the chief of police, and the guy working on the power lines are the ones we see.
Yeah.
And this is also where we learned that one of the guys says that, hey, I like to monitor these radio frequencies, and now there's all this military chatter. And this is where the deputy starts to have his guys, now that he's basically acting as the chief, more or less. He's having his guys monitor these radio frequencies. And that's where we learn about Operation Walking Distance.
Yeah.
And he then he starts learning as much as he can through the communication. He confronts Colonel Nellick about, what's going on here. You're not telling me everything. People are missing.
And he mentions the name of the Operation Walking Distance.
And yeah, he also sees that they're doing, what's that, a Geiger counter or something that measures like radiation or something.
Yeah.
They're doing all that. So he's worried that people, are going to get radiated, I guess, or something. So he says, well, we can't talk here, but, come to the base and I'll explain everything to you. But of course, all they really do is basically hold him hostage. At this point is also where the military needs to get the people out of the town. So they purposely set a fire in order to have an excuse to evacuate the townspeople to basically, like, I can't remember where they're holding them up at.
Quick question, though.
What?
So, like, after Alice was taken by the creature,
Yeah.
What was the point of Alice's dad getting into a car accident during this scene? Like, I saw that happen and I was like, it didn't really seem to have a payoff or help with the story.
Well, he got mad at her because she was hanging out with Joe, which both fathers said they don't want their kids hanging out with one another. Obviously, they hate each other.
Yeah.
Right. He gets mad at her. She runs away on her bike and he chases her.
I just thought that him getting in a car accident alone as a plot device seemed kind of pointless.
Well, I think it was because we had to have him, or they wanted to have him see that she was taken by something. Now he's seen this thing, just a little bit, and he's drinking a lot. So I think that kind of scares him straight a little bit, but it allows him to have now seen that his daughter's been taken, which gives a plot device for him to tell Joe, like, they took her, and no one believes me, so now Joe knows I need to go get her, because Joe, he goes to the gravesite at night and there's like a tool shed, with, where they keep everything for the, keeping everything clean, the area. And he sees that something's in there digging like mad.
Okay.
When the kids later watch the film from their teacher, we learn that the creature came here back, I think they say in the 50s. I could be wrong on that. That they don't explain how, but somehow they managed to catch him. Right. And they're holding him hostage again. How? I don't know. He's huge.
Yeah.
And they're trying to learn from him. And we also find out that on their planet, they're mostly they're underground dwellers, which Joe learns that. So he figures it's got to be there. That's like the base where he's coming in and out. Although I found it funny that so he starts digging inside of a shed. How is he getting in there? Because the doors were all locked, chained and locked up. So it's like,
well, didn't he just like bust the door in?
The kids did.
Yeah.
But how did Cooper get in there and do it and shut the doors behind him? Like, it seems like when he just wants he just tears it up and gets in there. But it was funny that he kind of like kept it looking normal on the outside, so no one would figure he was in there. I guess, I don't know.
I guess I didn't really quite understand how Joe knew how and where to go.
Okay, so the one night he was feeling down, so he's hanging out at the gravesite, right?
Yeah.
He hears a noise and he sees the tool shed in the distance, and when he shines his light on it, you can see little windows. You can see like dirt was hitting the ground, like from inside. Okay. Then later, when they are watching the film and listen to the cassettes that go along with it from the teacher that used to be a scientist with the government, he says that they know that on their planet, mostly, they lived underground.
Okay.
So then later, once Alice is taken by the creature, where he learns that from Lewis, Alice's dad, he says, okay, well, I think I know where he's at. Now, this is the point where the town's evacuated, but Joe's dad, he's been held captive, although he breaks out. He manages to knock one of the guards out, and he does the hitman, where he steals his uniform to escape.
Sorry, by the way, I just wanted to correct something. You have said a few times that it was the term subdermal, which
what did I say? What did I say?
No, you said subdermal, but that just means below the skin of a human, or skin of an animal. Subterranean, I believe, is the
subterranean. Okay, my bad.
Yeah.
Let me say that
again.
To
correct that again.
Thank you.
No problem.
My bad. Yeah, he learns that he's subterranean.
Yes.
Okay, my bad.
There you go.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So they're being all like rounded up basically in like a
little lair down there.
Well, I was going to talk about the people from the town. They're all being rallied up.
They're all put like in like the temporary holding, like looks like a big tent or something.
I almost like, I hate to say concentration camp. That's probably too strong of a description. More like a.
Again, it gave me ET vibes.
Well, anyway, yeah,
because the military like tent.
Yeah. So this is where, Joe learns that Alice has been taken from Lewis, and he decides that him and his friends are gonna, go on a mission to get her back. with the aid of the guy from the photo lab, you know, that's slightly older because he has a car. But, you know, the one scaredy cat kid that basically got almost nothing, he's the only one that stays behind. They don't even explain why. They never say like why he stays behind. He just stays behind. It's like he's the, you know, the distant one from the group. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Joe says, you know, I think I know where they are. They go back in the town. This is the scene where the military, now they pretty much got everyone out of the town. They're shooting, they're driving their tanks through there, and they're shooting all over the place, and the missiles are going off course. One of the soldiers says, like, you know, like they're not hitting their target. But you never, like, I thought they should have done something where you actually see Cooper, like maybe like a small blur where he's like running away, but you don't even see what they're trying to shoot at. But you assume they're seeing him and shooting at him. But this is where we see the kids running through this suburban war zone and
that's
into a house.
exactly what it looks like. It looks like a war zone in this neighborhood.
And they go into someone's house, and this is the part where the tall kid, his leg gets injured, and we have where Charles is going to stay behind with him. Now, Charles was more of a main character, and Carrie is going to go with Joe. Now, I get why on paper that makes sense, because Joe is going to need fireworks and a lighter.
Mm-hmm.
So Carrie, the one that was always carrying around a backpack full of fireworks and lighters, is the one to go with him. Although, so it makes sense on paper, but since Carrie didn't really have much to say or do besides just say, "Oh, wow, look at that explosion. It was huge." It was kind of funny they had him go, because at this point, Joe and Charles are never together for the rest of the climax of the film. And, you know, they have Charles say, "Are you going to be okay without me?" And he goes, "Yeah." So then he stays behind with the one kid, and Joe and Carrie go to the graveyard, because this is where Joe has figured out, you know, it's subterranean. And this is where you go. And this is one of the scenes, though, I didn't like. So when they have to break this door down, they did that thing where it's like a lot of fast cuts to show them like slam, 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 slam.
Yeah.
I almost rather them just show like 1, no, 2, no, 3, and it breaks. Like, I don't know. I just didn't like that.
I agree with you.
Choice, but whatever.
And I also don't like we're like getting towards the end of the film, like the ending. I guess you could say the third or fourth act, or however you want to call that, for the film, and we still haven't seen what this creature looks like.
See, and now I was different. I was cool with that as long as by the end we do get to see it. I was totally cool with that.
Yeah,
because it was building up.
Did we ever even see how it looks? I mean, we got a lot of hints of the fact.
Well,
that it's got big size, and it's got like maybe like some scaly skin. I don't know. It had a tail at some point.
No, I don't think it had a tail. I don't think so.
Maybe
okay, let's keep going.
Yeah.
So they go down, and they find all these tunnels all over the place, and you eventually see where you can see the support, or the foundation, you would say, for the water tower. So they know where they're at.
Yeah.
And you see all this, you know, different various things, appliances and car engines and all this kind of stuff he's stolen, where he's making something. You hear like something trying to start up, and you see people strung upside down, like almost like in like spider webs. So it leads me to believe that Cooper can make a web. Now I get in a way why they didn't. You didn't see people like upside down, hanging upside down, almost like they're in spider webs.
Yeah, I did see
They pulled Alice down. Yeah, it was like essentially like I'm thinking he did it. He made some kind of webbing.
I thought
but they don't.
The creature's doing.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's the creature, Cooper. That's what he was called on set.
Oh, right. He
made like web to suspend people upside down. Remember? And he eventually pulls Alice down. So it's like I get it why they didn't show it in a way, because probably that would be too much like Spider-Man. They just show the fact that he's able to do it, that he's tying people up and hanging them upside down, which is also just like an eerie thing when you see all these people that are there still.
Yeah.
But what begs the question to me is he didn't eat them. So why was he taking people? Was he going to eat them? Because they show where he takes Alice down from the webbing. And that's when they finally create that distraction with all the fireworks.
Yeah.
So I almost wonder if he was going to eat them, but then they show the woman in the rollers and they show the chief of police.
Yeah.
However, we never ever see the gas station attendant or the guy working on the power lines. So maybe he was eating people. I don't
know. I mean, at this point, though, you see that the creature grabs Joe, right?
Yes.
And
they go down the tunnel. They come to a dead end, and Alice by this point is already saying, he doesn't mean any harm. He just wants to go home. He's been held here for years, but they knew that, granted, for the tape anyway. But he's just scared and he wants to go home and he's hungry. She says that. So, yeah. And we also learned even from the videotape earlier in the film, because Cooper grabbed the teacher and the teacher reveals in the tape that there was like a neurological link. There was some kind of mental link between them.
Telekinesis or something like that.
Kind of like a Vulcan mind meld, you might say. They knew each other's thoughts because the teacher even says...
Telepathy.
Is that telepathy?
I was trying to think of the word. I think it's telepathy, yeah.
Okay.
Not telekinesis.
Yeah, telekinesis is moving things with your mind, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, we already knew ahead of time that, he can share it because he can't vocally communicate with us, but he can communicate, I guess, through this.
Right.
So, yeah. So, yeah, when Joe gets grabbed, now he knows. And that's where, Joe says to him, like, what's he say? Like, you can still have a life. Sometimes people do bad things. Yeah. That kind of thing. And it's like almost like, in a way, like he's telling it to himself too. It's like, you can still have a life. Like, like sometimes bad things happen, but it doesn't mean your life is over. So he puts him down. And this kind of also makes a special connection between Joe and Alice, because now they have both linked with the alien, but what I found odd is he grabbed the cop, he grabbed the woman with rollers, and everyone else he grabbed. But the cop and the woman with rollers are still acting like, we got to get out of here. Like, they don't seem to have gained the understanding. Like, he doesn't mean us any harm. He's, being held captive by people. Like, how come they didn't gain that insight on him?
I just kind of assumed it was due to the creature just is selective about what he communicates and to who.
Yeah, he must be. Exactly. Which almost makes you think when he picks someone up, he can immediately kind of know what kind of person we are.
Well,
and then he would have to choose to share his side of the story with us, right?
That was the impression I got when he picked up Joe, and they had that moment with Joe, and they were face to face looking in each other's eyes, and I was like, okay, this is like a two-way communication thing. Like they're getting to know each other through
which I'm thinking. So it implies to me that he senses both Alice and Joe have basically had some kind of painful thing happen.
Right.
So I think he kind of feels maybe one with them, where I guess he didn't feel that with the cop or that woman or whatever. And in fact, I was reading that when you see that membrane of his eyes, like almost like his eyelids pull back, and you see the human looking eyes, those are supposed to be the eyes of Joe's mother. They're supposed that
what? I didn't catch that. I mean, no, I heard
what
you said, but I'm
granted they didn't show the mother a whole lot in the film, but the idea was that those were modeled after that actress's mother eyes, so that there would almost be like this kind of connection with a physical trait of his that I guess reminded him of his mother, even though they don't outwardly say that.
So you said that was a behind the scenes thing?
That's what I saw. I've read and I watched the behind the scenes thing where they said that was what they were going for. They didn't say it, or they didn't spell it out in the movie, but yeah, when that like white layer like that almost like eyelid or membrane, whatever you want to call it, peels back, and you see what looks more like human eyes.
Huh.
Like almost basically like humanizing him a little bit.
Yeah.
So he goes from Bruce, the shark that kills people in Jaws, to now just a prisoner. Like now he's more like E.T., that we can kind of, before we were kind of afraid of him.
Yeah.
We're afraid of our characters being eaten or something from him. And now we find out he's been basically held captive for, 20 or 30 years.
Yeah.
And he's been, just who knows, experimented on and questioned and whatever, blah, blah, blah. And he just wants to go home.
Yeah.
So,
so we're almost at the end here. And as a first time viewer of this movie, I still don't understand.
Okay.
Like what's happening with all the flying debris that's being collected into like the big tower like structure. Is it just metal or is it other material?
Well, yeah, it's metal.
Maybe I
because
missed that.
Okay, again,
and
I think
I don't really understand how it even turned into a spaceship to take off.
Okay, because earlier in the film they showed his ship and when the old black and white film, and then you literally see it fall apart into little cubes. Okay.
Yeah.
And they're playing a cassette tape over while they're doing that, and the doctor says a remarkable shape-shifting technology that can make up his ship. Okay. So what I'm thinking is all the stuff he stole was to turn the water tower into a big electromagnet to draw the cubes to a central place where he made basically like into a launch pad to reassemble his ship.
Yeah,
because that's
because before microwaves and all these other human artifacts.
Well, yeah, he had to use what he could. If he could just grab all his cubes himself, I guess he wouldn't need all that stuff. But yeah, he had to get the cubes, which could be reassembled to make a spaceship. He had to steal human objects, to make a magnet. That's how I take it.
Okay.
He made an electromagnet using the water tower.
Maybe I should Google it.
It drew all the metal objects, but eventually the container that was holding all the cubes burst open and all the cubes start flying toward the water tower, just like the one that Joe had in his room. Remember?
Yeah.
And, Alice says, what's he doing? He's making a model, which again is a reference to the fact that he wasn't into making models.
Yeah.
So we have the scene where Jack. We have the scene where Jack meets up with Lewis and like, look, we got to go save our kids. And we finally have their moment where Lewis gets to say what he wanted to say. I came over to apologize. I'm sorry. I never meant for this to happen. I didn't want to hurt anybody, blah, blah, blah. And where finally Jack is able to say it was an accident and he forgives him. It was nobody's fault. So we have that moment, and this is the part where, everything's going to the water tower and they finally meet up. Alice has her moment with her dad where, because the last time they saw each other, he was mad at her and chasing her down the street.
Right.
And that's great and all. And then of course we have the moment where Jack is able to hug his son. And as all these metal things are flying up, the necklace, the locket, flies out of his pocket, and he manages to catch it. And then the lid pops open, and now we see what was inside. Because we knew earlier he said that it was his mother's locket that the dad bought for the wife when he was born.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a present from the dad to the mother, and we see it's a picture of her with Joe as a newborn. So there's that part where they're just like staring at it, and he lets it go. And when he lets it go, you see it sticks to the, hodgepodge of everything.
Yeah.
And eventually that almost like it becomes fuel. It disintegrates into little particles, and the ship flies away.
Yeah.
It was a really cool scene, I thought, where they're just staring up, and it's kind of brought everyone together. I thought it was cool the way.
Well, it kind of reminded me of Whoville and How the Grinch Stole Christmas where everyone's gathered together at the end and they're unified and
Okay. It was cool the way the ship is configured with the engines as it flies away, and we now are looking at the bottom of it. It almost looks like just like like when you draw a star, like the 5-pointed star. I thought that was kind of cool, like in the sky.
Yeah.
But I wondered, obviously you're not meant to think about these parts, but the military faked a wildfire in order to evacuate the town. They're coming through and they're shooting up everything.
Yeah.
And their weapons are going all over the place. So basically they destroyed this town. What's the aftermath of that? Like these people are going to come home to find like their houses and everything just destroyed.
I guess we live in a war zone now.
Well, it's just like, I wonder, like,
start the cleanup.
How does surely there's going to be some kind of investigation into this, like what happened and why.
Sounds like the premise of an X-Files episode, honestly.
Yeah.
I was going to say about the necklace. So how and why did the alien even need to take the necklace towards the big hodgepodge in the first place?
Well, because again, I think it was just an electromagnet. It was pulling anything that was metal. I don't think he specifically said, I want that necklace. It was just...
I guess I got the impression like he's waiting for that necklace.
No, I don't think he was waiting for the necklace. I think it was just... so the magnet was pulling all his cubes, but it was also pulling just other random stuff.
Yeah.
And you notice like after the necklace hit the pile, then it was like, I guess he had enough.
That was it.
Stuff. Now, granted, just because they focus on the necklace hitting the pile doesn't mean there weren't other things also at the same time. Still, we're focusing on this one thing, but there's probably still other pieces of things flying up and hitting this pile, collecting.
I guess
it's like the straw that broke the camel's back, like kind of thing. Like, because all that metal turned into almost like a fuel, and it like launched him. Like
right, but I guess I was thinking if that's the case, then he probably could have just held on to the necklace, kept it.
Yeah, he could. He could have, but I think that's supposed to be a metaphor that basically he was finally feeling like he could let go because he kept. Because again, it was a gift from the father to the mother, and the mother wore it, and now he's keeping it to, kind of like as a way to hold on to his mother. This was something that his mother kept all the time, in theory, probably wore all the time. It was like his way of like, I'll never forget her. She lives in my heart, so to speak. Like, I can let this go. I don't need this physical object to literally hold on to keep my mother's memory alive. I think is what it's supposed to represent.
Okay. Well, okay. I'll accept that.
Okay.
I just, as like I said, first time viewer, I had a lot of questions after the end credits. And by the way,
okay.
I didn't stick around to see if there was any kind of post credits scene. Is there?
Yeah, you missed the case. I was going to ask you about this. So the case was the name of the film that Charles was shooting. So basically, after they play a very short thing, is "Don't Bring Me Down," I think, and then I think, and then we go into the case, which is we actually all the stuff that we see the kids film throughout the whole movie. We finally get to see all that put together from like maybe
that's cool. I turned off the movie when the credits started rolling. And I was
idiot.
Like a few minutes later, I was like, I don't know if there was a post credits or not, but like,
so it's actually kind of like it's not post credit technically. It's like they show a few, like I think they just show like the names of the main actors, and then it goes into this little like miniature square. And I think while the credits are rolling, you're seeing the case.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
so it's during the credits are rolling.
Yeah, it's basically it's during the credits.
So I didn't see that. I'll have to go back.
Way to go,
look
idiot!
It up on YouTube.
All right, so okay, good.
Well, I just have a list of questions.
Okay,
that
ask me
that I compiled.
Okay,
so so that
I'll do my best. I'll do my best.
Where did these aliens even come from in the first place?
It's never said, but I mean, it's kind of the same thing with ET. They don't say his planet is never named. his species is never named. I don't think in the fact that they called him Cooper on set, it's like, okay, did you know that the shark from Jaws was called Bruce on set?
No.
They never call him Bruce in the movie. It's just like, they would say, okay, have Bruce come up over here. Then he's going to go back down. And by the way, he was motion captured by Bruce Greenwood.
Oh, no, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Who played Captain Pike in the JJ Star Trek movies.
I believe he was in Nowhere Man back in the 90s.
Yeah, he was also, I think, in a I forgot now. Never mind. I don't know.
And he was in Frank in the Oil Can from 1974.
What?
I'm just making up
no
stuff.
idea.
Just making up stuff.
That
Okay.
sounded made up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so like the alien has been held captive for all these years.
Yeah, I want to say they said 58, but I could be wrong on that.
But this is 1979, and
Correct.
There's just now signs of this happening and all these things going wrong, or
because he was probably being held at almost like an Area 51 type, military facility.
Did they say up till now this captive alien has been quiet as a mouse and no one's even aware of anything happening?
Well,
but then
probably not outside of whatever particular government agency.
I wondered if there were things happening throughout the years, or if it was just all happening during the events of this movie.
I kind of take it as he's been locked down in some kind of Area 51 type thing, whether it was actually supposed to be Area 51 or something else. Yeah, they've been studying him for what was that? 20? What would that be? 20
something years.
20 something years. They've been keeping him. And basically probably they were moving him and all his cubes to another location that was maybe a specialty place that they built for him, like a better cage or something that they can study him better.
Yeah.
And that's when he was, they showed where the doctor, the teacher, was it Dr. Greenwood? I don't know. No, I'm thinking of Bruce Greenwood. I don't know. I'm thinking where they show he's got a map. He knows, I guess, what they were going to do. They show where he's like got a map of all the train stops and whatever, where he's basically been planning this to help free him, because once they had that connection, he knew this is wrong. We got to let him go, blah, blah, blah.
Right. Well, yeah, and that was it with my questions.
So earlier I was saying, there's, E.T., Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Jaws, The Goonies. But I said also I felt there was a King Kong kind of reference or influence. And what I meant by that, I think it's pretty obvious, is Kong. I don't know if you've ever seen any of the original King Kongs, either the 33 or even the 2005 version. But, well, heck, even the 76 version. The idea is he was brought here against his will to the human world, and then they wanted to use him to make a show. He escapes, he's causing all this havoc, and then basically he's punished. He's ultimately killed for something that he had he wasn't trying to invade the city and terrorize people. He's kind of innocent in that. It's just it is what it is. In this case, he came to our planet maybe to explore, but then he was captured by us, by humans. He was held captive. So I kind of feel like in the same way, it's like he's not trying to just be a aggressor. He was forced. That's what I mean by that kind of King Kong influence. It's kind of the same idea where
I see that
he's trying to do what he can do to he's got to look out for himself, and he's trying to escape these captors just like Kong did. It maybe just a little bit. I'm not saying it's like a super, deep thing, but just a little bit of a King Kong thing going on there.
I see that, how that looks. Yeah.
Like I said, they didn't develop a lot of those other secondary characters for the kid group like they did with the Goonies. It's almost like the Diet Goonies, like where, I don't know if these names are going to mean anything to you, but I feel like Chunk and Mouth and Data, all the extra kids besides Mikey and Brad, we learn a little bit about them. Maybe not a whole lot, but a little bit, where I feel like these extra kids yeah, like this one kid's a scaredy cat. This one kid's both a scaredy cat and he's nervous about his lines. This kid loves to light stuff on fire. But the only kids we really learn anything significant about, I mean, heck, even Charles, like he gets the most. He wants to make his movie. You know, they got a million brothers and sisters. They show his house is like a zoo. But you know, and then we learned obviously about Joe and Alice. So it's like it has that Goonies influence, but I don't think and it's not saying they even needed to. We didn't need to have backstories for all these characters, but I just think it's kind of funny that the Goonies gave us a little more with the other characters. For the good, I'll say, you know, unlike, you know, or most modern movies, you know, they want to rush the story along just to get to the big action sequences. They have very little character development, if at all. And this movie kind of has a little bit of a throwback vibe, which is funny because it's, you know, a period piece as well. You know, just a slow burn to get to the story, which I thought was nice. You know, it's a science fiction film. That's kind of almost, even the science fiction aspect of it is kind of on the back burner because it's more about a drama, you know, with some mystery, some comedy, you know, very nice like that. Now for the bad, I mean, goes with any film for me. I do not like when they take God's name in vain. That's just one thing with music, with TV, movies, people. I hate it when people take God's name in vain. The train wreck was a bit over the top. It needed to happen, but it was just too much. I did not care for JJ's signature lens flare. I thought that was both unnecessary and distracting.
And I was going to ask a question about the train derailment thing. Like, so the science teacher guy, he purposefully drove his car onto the track, and I couldn't understand why he did that. Was he? I
think to cause a train derailment. I think he wanted to do exactly what he did to give Cooper an opportunity to escape.
Okay, gotcha.
So yeah, JJ's signature lens flare was distracting and unnecessary. It wasn't obviously as much as Star Crap, but he did do it, and I don't like it.
You're talking about
Now I know this is a little nitpicky, but the scene, like I said, where they're trying to break through the garage and it keeps like flash, flash, slam, 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 like to show that they were doing it for like a while until they broke. I don't care for that style. At least, in this
montage.
Yeah, it just didn't work for this, and you know, it just should have been set in Michigan. That's, you know, that goes without saying.
Yeah, it definitely should have, not Ohio.
Before I give my final thoughts in grade, why don't you tell me your final thoughts in grade?
Okay, my final thoughts are as follows. So overall, I just sort of feel like this movie has some unanswered questions.
Okay,
but maybe that's intentional.
Well, hold on. What are the unanswered questions?
Well, like the one of like where this alien came from in the first place. What is their story? What is their backstory? Are they good guys or bad guys? Are they like hostile to Earth or are they not?
Okay. It's like, but do we have to have? I mean, he could have just gone off course. He could have had a some kind of malfunction that he had to land here. He could have, you know, hit by an asteroid.
The only one in his.
Definitely he was the only one. Yeah, because I take it as that ship just had him in it. Because otherwise there probably would have been other. We don't need to know everything about who, you know. Yeah, but like I said, E.T. we never know. In that movie, they never say what his species are called.
Right.
We never know his name. The kid names him E.T. What is his actual name? You know.
Yeah.
I don't know, some stuff like that. It's like sometimes I do think it's important to have all those questions answered, and sometimes not so much. I think the point here was he was here. He was held captive. I mean,
like I said, I think some of those things, some of those unanswered questions are intentional, and it makes sense for the plot of this movie. But I guess my mind goes to those questions.
I mean, I think about that kind of stuff. I want to know sometimes, more about but
species. I want to know more about what I'm looking at on the screen.
Well, and as far as if he's good or bad, I mean, the fact that when he connected with certain people, he didn't eat them, he let them go, shows
Yeah.
he has some kind of conscience. He has some kind of heart, if you will.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a well done, well made movie.
Mhm.
I just don't know if I like it all that much.
Okay.
I observe. I acknowledge the fact that it is a very good movie for the type of movie that it's supposed to be, and it's got that 70s, 80s, movie vibe of like the E.T., the Goonies kind of rolled into one. But there's not really one specific reason why overall this movie just didn't work for me.
Okay.
I don't know. I think maybe it has something to do with the fact that anytime there's a movie like this with kids being involved in a bunch of really dangerous situations that they should probably not have survived in real life, but the movie, they do survive, and it becomes like a fun adventure. And I don't know. I sort of think that is kind of a silly idea for a movie. But I mean, it just didn't grab me as an audience member.
Okay.
But
so what would your grade be?
Maybe I'm not the target audience for this type of movie. That's the thing. I don't know if I'm, well, I don't know if I'm cut from the same cloth as someone who would really love this movie.
I mean, I think it's fair to say you are more of a established franchise guy.
Probably. I mean,
more than these standalone films that are one and done.
There are some one-offs that I enjoy, but I mean,
but all in all, you like watching stuff that's of a pre-existing, lots of movies and whatever else.
But I think the reason I didn't like this movie so much, I mean, it kind of feels like the same reason why I don't like the Goonies all that much.
Okay.
Like, it feels like the same thing. Like, it's this silly kind of really have to suspend disbelief to watch the movie. And I mean, with the Goonies, it's more.
The Goonies is definitely a sillier movie, not taking itself as seriously. This is more dramatic.
This felt like a more dramatic, slightly less silly version of the Goonies. And if I had to give it a grade, it's hard for me to grade it because like
A, B, C, D, F. I mean, just give me a letter grade.
Well, I'm going to give you 2 grades.
Okay.
So the first grade is going to be based on my personal enjoyment of the movie, and I guess I'd give that like a C+.
Okay.
But if I gave you another grade based on what I acknowledge about the movie's, quality and how well done it is, and then I'm going to give it like an A. But it just
okay. So
those are my thoughts. I can't. I'm trying to give it 2 grades because I don't want my personal opinion to influence my judgment of the movie.
Okay, so I think you're saying is you acknowledge that it's well done, but it just didn't really do it for you.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just I personally didn't.
So maybe a C+.
So I would give it a C+
overall.
Like for my personal enjoyment level, that would be a C+. Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm not saying it's bad.
Okay. So my final thoughts is, it's an original story that takes inspiration from familiar stories.
Yeah.
I personally think it has a pretty nice balance of paying homage to what's come before it without being a blatant copycat. Like I said, I thought it mixed the drama and the action and the, some little bits of comedy in there nicely. So to me, I think this is mint. It's a B+.
Okay. All right then.
So thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show. Feel free to head on over to our link tree. We got all the links, Facebook, Instagram, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and a bunch of others. You can email us there. Give us any suggestions or critiques. Tell us how stupid we are. And please comment, leave us a review, share, subscribe, all that business that people say, all those things. So thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time. Jesus is the way.
All right. See you later.
Bye.
I said, what does God need with a starship?
Production value.